After my nephrectomy, I stayed in hospital for 2 nights. My operation was on a Saturday afternoon and I was allowed home on the Monday. I had quite good information from my doctors and nurses at the time about recovery periods and how long I would be off work. And it pretty much followed to the letter how long I was off. I was 4 weeks before I was back driving and 6 weeks back to work. My doctors and nurses were quite good in terms of what to expect and what would help me in my recovery in terms of diet and general day-to-day business around the house. The one thing I would say to anybody after a nephrectomy is listen to your own body. Everybody is different, everybody responds in different ways, but go at your own pace. But most importantly, don't just sit around and lie around, get up and do things that your body will allow you without going silly.
My stay in hospital was about 4 days. I got a bit stir crazy after the 4th day, so I escaped for an afternoon to a local friend's house, and then I was sort of back in that night, and then Jane picked me up in the morning. So logistically, so I say it's 4 days, but it was actually 5. But I was allowed home after 4, so pretty quick. So in terms of sort of the information I was given, what do I do when I get home? There was plenty of information about pain management, especially about going to the toilet, coughing and all these sort of things, what to do in those circumstances and what not to do. It was pretty good.
After the nephrectomy, I think I was in hospital for about 4 or 5 days. The discharge was delayed because I was having quite a lot of pain after the operation, and they needed to get that under control before I was discharged. I think in terms of being told what to expect following the operation and getting back to work and fitness and things like that, I was largely unaware of what was possible and what was likely to happen. And I think from my point at the time, I was just relieved to get the operation out of the way, and anything that came after that I wasn't too worried about. I think after the operation, one of the big things for me was worrying about getting back to work. Work for me is very important. It's something that gives me a sense of well-being. And obviously, from a financial point of view, it was very important. So I found it very frustrating after the operation in terms of trying to get back to fitness again and being able to work.
When I left hospital after my nephrectomy, I had good support from friends and family. I also had really good support from the local district nurses. The district nurses came in once a week after my operation. They came to change dressings, they came to take staples out, and they helped me identify that I had an infection before I could have the last lot of staples out. So I ended up being readmitted into hospital. And then the district nurses followed up again after that with really good visits. Back to normal, I would say it was a good 4 or 5 weeks after my nephrectomy. However, I did feel stronger sort of every day and every week as time went on. I would say a good 6 weeks before I was up to going back to work, and even then it was on a phased return to work.
When I left hospital, I was very much dependent on my wife to provide the support for me, and I think there wasn't a great deal of information available from the NHS or backup support in relation to that. When I was at home after the operation, one of the things that I do remember vividly is spending an awful lot of time lying on the settee and watching Time Team on TV. But bit by bit, I started to get my strength back. And I think looking back, actually the recovery time was fairly short. I very soon was up and about again and starting to get to grips with life again. I think I started to feel normal probably after about 2 months after the operation. The wounds were starting to heal and were feeling less tender, and I was able to move more freely. And I think we went on a holiday in Florida a couple of months after the operation, which is an indicator of how fast I did sort of progress, I think.
I found a support group like KCSN, so started sharing my experiences then, making sure I was going through the right stuff. So I think that's really important. So I got quite a lot out of that. The support's there if you need it. So there is plenty of information out there. Obviously what KCSN does in terms of offering, that's its raison d'etre, is to offer patient support, so take it.
The Kidney Cancer Support Network I found out through an online search engine. I wasn't aware, and I wish I knew of the Kidney Cancer Support Network on first diagnosis and through my nephrectomy. However, on my second diagnosis, it was invaluable. I found them, like I say, on a search engine, and once I was involved with the group, it was superb, and I can't fault the group at all.
It was probably a couple of years after the operation that I did discover KCSN and realised what a valuable resource it is for us as patients to share experiences and gain access to knowledge about treatments, side effects, benefits, all manner of things that are very important to us that are going through this kidney cancer journey. I think if I was talking to somebody else that had had a nephrectomy, my advice would be talk to other people, go to Kidney Cancer Support Network. It is a network of patients, and a problem shared is a problem halved.